Okay, today we'll talk about the muscle. We just need to know that the layer that cover the entire muscle, as you can see here, the entire muscle, if you take a cross section, the layer that cover the muscle from outside of the sheath called epimysium. And as you can see inside in the cross section, there is like large circle, those large circles that have like this brownish dot inside. This is called fascicles. You can consider this as a beam or as like a column that have a lot of muscle fiber inside. We call them fascicles. So the sheet actually that cover the fascicles would be called perimysium. And the sheet actually that cover each muscle fiber, individual muscle fiber inside this column or beam, called endomysium. So how you remember this? It just the first one that cover the entire muscle from outside, the name will be epimysium. So you can take the first three letters of the epimysium, so it's EPI. So epimysium, the one that cover the fascicles, called perimysium, will be the second letter here, and the one that cover individual muscle fiber called endomysium will be the third letter. I know it's I, but you can consider it as E. So this is how actually you pronounce this is how we memorize actually the layers that cover the entire muscle. Okay. So of course inside you're gonna find like nerve, blood supplies, and eventually if you break it down to the smallest unit will be the smallest protein. The myofibers has like small protein called actin and myosin. I'm gonna talk about it shortly. This one show the something called motor endoplate. This is neuromuscular junction. Neuro from the nerve. This is the axon here, and this is a nerve. Nerve get like in contact with the muscle fiber, as you can see. So for the muscle actually to shorten or to contract, these neurons or this nerve need to send some chemical signals at the area where it contacted the muscles. These chemical signals through the neurotransmitter here, this is called like synaptic vesicles containing neurotransmitter called acetylcholine. So when there is the acetylcholine from the nerve, is going to be released in this area between the muscles and the nerve. There is a specific receptors at the muscles that bind to the acetylcholine, and it's going to open some voltage gated channels that is going to make the muscle here shorten or contract. What you're seeing here actually will be the shortest contractile unit of the muscle, called the sarcomere. It's like between those Z lines here. See this Z line and this another Z line right here. I consider this, as the musical instrument called the accordion. So just visualize that the player that play this music has the left hand here and his right hand here, and he's playing and pushing these two lines to the middle. This is actually the muscle shortening. It's between these two protein, the thick one called actin and the thin one called myosin. Okay, so this will be the shortening between actin and myosin, and this is actually how it shows in the electron microscope. This is called terminal branch of somatic motor neuron axon nerve fiber. And this is a neuromuscular junction, this area here, this big area, huge area here. Of course, need a lot of mitochondria. Mitochondria, the power source, like where you make the ATP. And this is the nucleus of the muscular cell. This is what you'll see under the microscope. This is the fascicles. You remember the column or the beam I showed in the first image? This is called fascicles, right? And you know that the perimysium actually don't cover the fascicles, right? Just to the one that cover the entire muscle called epi, right? Remember, epimysium. Second one that cover the column or the beam called perimysium, and the third one that like cover each muscle fiber called endomysium. And this is muscle fiber cell. Okay, one of the muscle fiber cell. The entire thing here, this is called fascicles. This entire thing here, this one of the muscle fibers. This is a nucleus, a lot of nucleus pushed on the side. As you can see, this is skeletal muscle, of course, and this is a perimysium that cover the entire muscle. So they cover the fascicles, and each muscle fiber covered by endomysium. Here just to show you the type of muscles based on the function, how actually we name those muscles based on the function. The prime mover, that the main muscle that perform the action, we call them prime mover or agonist. It's actually a muscle primarily responsible for the action or the movement. Antagonist would mean them in a simple way. This is agonist, this is antagonist. So if this muscle performs certain action, this one opposes the action, the opposite. Synergist will be the one actually that co-contract or help the primary mover that to be able to perform its actions. So you consider this as, if this is like the pilot of the airplane, this is a co-pilot, the synergist. Fixator, actually, this is very important. This is to fixate the movement in a specific joint. For example, if you try to bend your elbow, if your shoulder muscle in the top did not contract isometrically to keep the shoulder in place, you'll be flexing or bending elbow and shoulder. So to perform a specific muscle, this muscle is very important in actually directing or performing the correct movement. So a special type of synergist muscle. Contraction will stabilize the joint, so another contractile muscle exert a force on something else. The example I just gave you about the bending the elbow or elbow flexion, for you to be able to perform only elbow flexion, not elbow and shoulder, that shoulder muscle or deltoid muscle has to stabilize the shoulder in place, so you can perform only elbow flexion. This is to show you the shortest contractile unit in the muscle called sarcomere. It's between these two Z discs here, as you can see, Z disc right here, and show you the thick protein called myosin and the thin protein called actin. I apologize, I think I mixed them up in the first slide. So no, the thick one, the myosin from muscle, so the big one, and the thin one here in like blue color, this will be the actin. Of course, there is a smallest like protein that anchor this myosin in the Z line. It's exactly like the accordion, so this does not get cut or injured. This is elastic protein called titin, or elastic filament called titin. Okay, so the Z disc shortest, or the sarcomere, another name, sarcomere, it's like the unit between the two Z discs. This is the shortest contractile unit. The A band will cover, you see this, the entire arrow here called A band, the one in the middle called H zone, and the I band, this is the I band, and this is the I band. Okay, so when the muscle actually shortening, you're gonna find these all here will be the myosin fibers, and the blue will be the actin fibers. Again, you see, I advise you several times that you need to know the bones. Why? Because when you study the origin and insertion of the muscle, you need to know the bony prominent and the name of the bone and different textures, etc. So this is the beautiful scapula or the wing bone. Now this is the origin, actually over there, origins of the biceps muscles. And if we consider this is biceps muscle, the beautiful muscle in your forearm. Biceps mean two, ceps head. So this is the muscle with the two heads. Actually, if you wanna bend your elbow, that's bringing the radius and ulna in close contact with the humerus, like this, reducing this angle. The biceps will be the prime mover or the agonist. And this brachialis muscle, the shortest one, help with the elbow flexion or bending the arm. So this is the biceps will be the prime mover or the agonist. The brachialis will be the synergist or the co-pilot. Remember the example of the airplane? You have a pilot, biceps, and co-pilot, the one help will be the brachialis. The triceps in the back here of the arm, tri means three, ceps head. So the muscle with the three heads. This is actually performing the opposite action of biceps and brachialis. This actually extend your elbow. If you want to extend your elbow, or put the arm back to its like extension or normal position in the anatomical position. When you stand, you extend your elbow. This is actually be the agonist. This will be the antagonist, the performing the opposite action of the prime mover here, the biceps and the brachialis. Okay, so if you want to bend your elbow, prime mover would be brachialis, right? And brachialis and biceps. And antagonist will be the triceps. Okay, it's easy. This exercise for you. Oh, this is just to give you an idea about the biopack student lab. This very beautiful machine, of course, an instrument that will be connected to the computer, and it guides you through the steps how to do the connection or how to perform the lab exercise. Usually you have a lot of like instruction in the screen guide you through each different exercise. This is called biopack student. Of course, this is you do it in the real lab when you perform like some lab exercise. This one will go back to the regular class hopefully soon. This is called biopack student. This will be the screen actually. Let's say if you perform some kind of like muscle contraction, the biopack connected to the screen to this specific program that show you these line like represent the muscle contraction and the timing as well. So you can actually find the value of the contraction and exactly the time spent in the contraction, etc. And actually you can also compare like different strong contraction from mild, from moderate, from like very severe or very strong contraction, etc. So this actually just to give you an idea about back exercise, and this is actually show you the tools that you can use in the computer screen to be able actually to do some kind of analysis after performing the biopack exercise. This is just show you the stimulation or how much contraction actually you perform. This is stimulus and this is contraction, and this is actually where the course of the contraction. Same way if you have for example like very minimal, like this is called like the spatial summation of stimulation or muscle contraction. So you perform like very small and you increase your grip contraction until you reach the top. So this will be the force of contraction, this will be the timing of the this is just show you the motor unit, and this is a cell, and this is actually the nerve, and this nerve has contact with the muscle called neuromuscular junction. So if you're performing like elbow flexion in this way, you're recruiting if you're not doing movement, contraction will be this way. If you actually performing the actual movement up and you contract more, you're recruiting more neurons and more muscle fiber to contract. This is show you the right grip when you perform the biopack exercise that is connected to the screen of the computer. This is actually where you're going to connect the different wire for the biopack exercise. This is be the white, red, and black, and this is actually going to measure the muscle contraction. For example, in this muscle, when you perform the grip, when you hold the rod here that you perform a grip on, and it's going to show you in the how strong the contraction is. This is just when you start the exercise. If you use like different subject, you need to adjust each machine to a specific. And this is actually as you go from like minor contraction, mild, strong, strongest contraction. This is how it's shown the screen. So the more you firm your grip, you go from very weak grip, mild, moderate, and then very strong grip, and you hold it. Is gonna give you this like graph that you see. After you performing this, you still can analyze the data. Analyze the data, and this is exercise. You're gonna have